Hello, everyone. Welcome to twitch.tv/The Onyx Path. My name is Travis Legge. My pronouns are he and they, and I have the incredible pleasure of running for y'all a one shot Realms of Pugmire, the Curious Cats of Mao adventure that I'd like to call Rats in the Tavern. If you're not familiar with the Curious Cats of Mao, it is a fantasy role playing game in which you play anthropomorphized cats in a distant future that looks like a medieval fantasy. Um, it is currently raising funds on BackerKit. When I last looked, we're about 1,300 from our I should say our first funding goal. So not impossible that we might hit that tonight. One never knows. So if you've
Getting
not
really
yet,
choppy.
if you am I getting choppy on Zoom?
Yep.
But
hmm
yeah,
Oh, that's not great. Um, has it normalized itself? Because I was
No, you
getting
just froze again.
awesome. I'm glad that we're having good tech. Everybody can bear with me for just a moment. I'll see what I can do about that. I would bet not bloody much, but let's see. Hold on for just one moment. I'm gonna bring up our back soon screen while I troubleshoot. All right, everybody, let's try this again. I think I've returned, and I think we're going well. And it looks like I'm not getting any drop frames, and everything looks like I'm moving smoothly. And so, hopefully, we have banished the gremlins. My deepest apologies. As I was saying earlier, the Curious Cats of Mao are currently raising funds over on BackKit. Last I looked, we were about 1,300 from our starting our base goal. So if you've not yet done so, please consider heading over there to BackKit to check that out. And I'll throw that link in the chat one more time in case you missed it earlier. All right. So now that that's done, I'm going to go ahead and have my lovely players introduce themselves, please, and tell us, who you are, what you do, who you're playing, your pronouns, their pronouns, and anything you'd like to promote. And let's start it off with Rachel.
hello, my name is Rachel. You can find me pretty much everywhere on the internet, except the Burning Bird app. I'm trying to avoid that place. You can find me at Stolen Fires, including my own Twitch channel where I do a lot of tabletop gaming streams. Um, yes, and tonight I will be playing Lucy, named after my cat, Lucifer Meowning Star. Uh, Lucy is a noble champion. So I'm getting kind of like a himbo vibe from this one. I
Hmm,
might play her that way. Yes,
excellent.
we are both going to be she, her.
I love it. It sounds brilliant and beautiful. And how about you, Sarah? What have you got for us tonight?
I am Sarah Scharnweber, she, her, and I do stuff all over the internet, usually as Wordsmith Sarah. I play video games on Twitch and I talk about writing stuff on YouTube, but I'm playing Duchess tonight, and she uses she, her too, because it's easiest uh, to just stick with what I know. Um, what am I looking for? The calling? Is that what she
Yeah,
is?
you're calling in your
Calling?
you should be calling in
Background?
background. Yeah,
Okay, so she's a minister disciple.
beautiful. Excellent. And we'll get into what those are uh, and what those mean precisely here momentarily. So, as I mentioned, we're playing Curious Cats of Mao. This is bringing the monarchies of Mao, established in Pugmire First Edition, into the realms of Pugmire the Second Edition. So, some new rule stuff using the Onyx 20 rule system will be in play. I've designed this to be a fairly straightforward adventure, a little bit of a dungeon crawl, if you will. But we will have time to sort of pause and address differences in the system and handle any questions that might occur as we go on through our story. And our tale is going to begin in the monarchies. The monarchies are a land that, as far as anyone knows, the monarchies have always been the home of cats, the primary place where cats reside. And it has been that way since the age of the old ones long ago, in what is considered prehistory at this point. The monarchies span a fairly wide area with various different sort of environments in play. But where we are starting particularly tonight is in the monarchy of Cymric. Cymric is bounded by the monarchy of Mao to the north, Rex to the south, and Korat and Angora on west and east, respectively. Cymric is characterized by flat, fertile land. It would make for good farming, except for the weather. It's very windy. There are a lot of thunderstorms, cyclones, things along those lines. Makes it kind of hard to farm, but good for trade when the weather allows. It's very easy to traverse because it's largely flat. There aren't a whole lot of cities in Cymric. It's more either rows of farms along the roadside or even like small villages that pop up from time to time. The only thing that really passes for a city is the capital city of Jove. And that is where we are going to be setting our tale today. But more specifically, we're going to zoom into one particular building in Jove. And this is the Chipped Saucer. The Chipped Saucer is a lounge and inn in Jove. It looks no different than any other. It pretty much offers sort of staple food. It doesn't have anything like, exotic, no thin sliced beef or herbal drinks, as some of the other inns in the area are rumored to. Just very simple catnip teas and meat pies are on offer in the menu. The family that owns it, however, has gotten quite a reputation, not only for their extreme hospitality, which is common in Cymric. They're known for their hospitality, but the owners of the Chip Saucer kind of take it above and beyond. Very, very gracious to guests. And also there's a bit of a, I guess you could say, social hotspot in the Chip Saucer, in that both traveling nobles who are passing through Cymric, as well as locals of influence, tend to gather there to sort of talk about the politics and the gossip of the day. And on one particular day, your cats, along with your traveling companion, who we're going to call Rex von Rex.
I was going to vote for Pickles.
We can call him Pickles von Rex. That's fine.
Okay. I think that's a good name for a cat.
So your traveling companions and Pickles. Well, traveling companions is probably even a bit of a stretch. We're going to assume that you are, or at least have been for some time, uh, staying in Cymric, probably in Jove itself. You've at least been in town long enough to have developed a bit of a relationship with a cat by the name of Corinne, who is the daughter of the owners of the Chip Saucer. And as our tale begins, you are arriving at the Chip Saucer after having received a summons by letter from Corinne asking you to come and help address an issue that she has come across. So as you're approaching this tavern, again, wooden building. Many of the taverns in Cymric have a floor or two of wooden construction above ground, and then one or more basement floors. To offer safe shelter during the storm seasons, but also just because the cats of Cymric have grown sort of accustomed to underground dwelling and are most comfortable there. So when you walk in, you find there's probably about 15 patrons in the bar at the moment, as well as 4 or 5 employees kind of running about. You do see Corinne behind the bar. She's cleaning glasses and making sure everything is stocked appropriately. And as soon as she sees you, she kind of looks up and brightens up, but does not make any move from behind the counter. What would you all like to do?
Well, I'm here for hot meat pie and some catnip tea. So, I'm gonna take a seat. So, also, Sarah, would our characters have known each other before this?
Yeah, I don't know why not.
Yeah, it would be my
Okay.
assumption that you all are sort of an established group of friends, if not yet an adventuring party.
All right, in that case, I will grab a table for the both of us.
Excellent. And Pickles as well.
Oh, yes, and
Um,
pickles.
so the three of you sit down at a table, and you don't have to wait very long. It takes about maybe a minute or two for Corinne to make her way from behind the bar over to where you all are seated. And she says, "Oh, I'm so grateful to have you here. Thank you so much for showing up. We've really got a problem on our hands and could desperately use your help. Um, but before I go into the pitch about the job, can I get you anything?"
Well, I would love some of your delicious meat pies and catnip tea and problems are what we are here to make go away.
Beautiful. It's much appreciated. And what about for yourself? And she looks over, and I want to say princess, but that's not it.
Oh, it's Duchess.
Duchess's
Um,
direction. Thank you. I will make a note of that.
yeah, I'll have the same thing.
Excellent. Pickle says, "Just the tea for me, thanks." Um, and so she says, "Let me run and grab that for you real quick, and then we'll get going." And she kind of steps away, and you can see various conversations taking place throughout. Everything seems to be, in pretty good spirits. There doesn't seem to be a whole lot of like shadowy discussion going on. Nobody seems to be of ill temper. It is still pretty early in the day, but as of right now, things seem to be uh, pretty cool. A couple moments later, Corinne emerges from the kitchen with meat pies and teas on a tray, with a large teapot, a kettle full of hot water that she sets on the table as well. And she says, "Here you go." Now, normally, this would run you a few coins, but I would be happy to comp you your meals as partial payment for the work that I would have you do. Um, However, it is a sensitive matter that I don't want to discuss uh, with so many ears about. Would you mind finishing your food somewhat quickly and meeting me down in the cellar, particularly in the wine storage section?
I would be quite happy to.
Sure thing.
And then I do the cat thing of like very carefully inspecting the food and eating it daintily. And even though she asks us to eat quickly, I'm kind of not doing that.
It's fine. How long do you think it'll take you to complete your meal?
I mean, not that long. I just don't want to scarf and barf. So like 20 minutes.
Sure. Okay. And is Duchess going to grow uncomfortable at this pace? Try to rush Lucy, or also going to eat at a leisurely pace?
I think I'll just follow suit.
All right. Excellent. Um, while you are eating, you see Corinne kind of about the first 10 minutes. She's kind of running around. Looks like she's maybe trying to get everything set up so that she can step away without things falling apart. And after about 10 minutes of doing so, she darts down the stairs. You can clearly see the stairway that she takes. And the stairs going down, the first sub basement is rooms for rent. And then the second sub basement is where the actual wine cellar is. The tea is warm and refreshing and scrumptious, and the meat pies are delightful.
Purr, chew, purr.
Excellent. Once you've had your fill, uh, are you making any stops or interactions with anyone before you make your way down into the basement, or are you simply going to head down?
I don't have
Uh,
anyone to talk to.
I mean, based on what my cat does after eating, probably like a quick wash up and then head down to the basement.
Excellent. You do so. And three of you arrive. Corinne is basically like pacing by the time you get down there. And she says, "Oh, goodness, thank you so much. I'm so glad that you are here. Um, we have a bit of a problem. I was organizing our supplies here in the basement, and I found this." She sort of waves you over and walks over into a corner and slides like it looks like maybe like a wine rack over to the side, and you see a relatively large hole in the wall. Looks like it's certainly big enough for a cat to like crouch and get into. It's dark. There doesn't seem to be any light sources back there.
What's in there?
She says, "Well, I don't know for sure, but as I was doing inventory, I noticed that several of our beverages and a few of our cleaning supplies have gone missing. And I think we might have a rat problem."
Not rats.
Indeed, I think they're possibly coming in to steal supplies from us, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I mean, if they came in and asked for food, we would provide them, but for some reason they've taken it upon themselves to steal. Now, I don't think it's enough of a volume that it's going to do serious damage to our business, but we certainly would like to recover any materials that might be recoverable. But more to the point, we want to find out who is breaking in here, how they got in, and what we can do to make it stop.
Well, I got in through the hole in the wall.
Well, yes, but they must have made that hole, and they must have gotten to that wall from somewhere.
So you said that there was like a bunch of darkness in one spot?
Well, like there's like the actual hole itself, there's no illumination in there. The only
Okay.
light that's down here is there's a couple of torches going, and so the flickering torchlight really illuminates only the first few feet of the tunnel.
All right. In that case, I will grab one of the torches off the wall, um, and just sort of like grip, extend paw, look inside, essentially like shining the flashlight into the crawl space.
Sure. Um, as you look down, you see, uh, at least for the length of the torchlight, it appears to be a relatively straight tunnel. Looks like it was dug out possibly by hand. Let's see. You either both of you, if you'd like, you could make a intellect check, and let me just check and see what might be applicable skills for working with that. Give me just a moment.
It's a D20 roll, yes.
It is a d20 roll. You would say, I would say if you have um, no history, would probably be your best bet. So if you, uh, the way it works when you make a test in, or a check, I should say, in Realms of Pugmire, is you roll the attribute, or the ability, I should say. You roll your d20, you add the modifier that you have for your ability. If you have a skill that is pertinent, you then add your experience bonus to that roll as well. So if you have no history, you can add your experience bonus to the roll. Otherwise, it is just an intellect roll.
No
Well,
history being KNOW.
Correct.
Okay. Because I do not have history, so I wanted to clarify.
Yep.
Um,
what does the asterisk mean?
The asterisks next to your attributes are your basically the favored ones, and those are based on your house, I believe.
Okay.
They come into play with character creation, but also can affect things as you increase in experience.
All right. So, trying to roll this. I'm gonna roll an intellect.
Yep.
I have
D20,
a +2.
right? And then do you have no history as well?
I do.
So then it'll be add your experience bonus as well.
Okay. All right. That's 11.
Excellent. And what did Lucy get?
14.
14. Okay. So to Duchess, it looks like this tunnel is recent. You can tell that it was done recently, and it was done with particularly primitive tools, possibly even um, like scratching it loose by hand, like digging their way through. Uh, it was not done with anything that you would expect civilized folk to use to try to dig a tunnel. However, Lucy, you have a slightly better insight into this construction. You realize that it was absolutely dug by a creature, uh, not tools, but you're fairly certain it was a large creature, like some sort of perhaps uh, monster that they had domesticated for this purpose.
Well, that's a little disturbing. But we will not back down from a challenge. There is something in our territory and it must be run off.
There's always somebody here, though, right? Like, nobody heard anything?
No, we didn't. My only assumption is that they were doing their working on the tunnel during our peak meal periods. At breakfast, lunch, and dinner, it can get quite loud. And with nobody being in the sleeping rooms at that time, it would be easy for them to pull it off.
What all is going missing specifically?
Um, wines, stronger spirits, other products like vinegar that we've created that we use for cleaning. Some of the herbal powders that are brought in from the south. Amazingly, none of the dry food stores, other than the spices that I had mentioned, have been touched.
Um, shot in the dark here. Is there anything that like the wines and the vinegars and the spices have in common that would indicate why they were taken?
Um, why don't you roll no culture if you have no culture? Otherwise, it would just be a straight up intellect roll.
I do not, and my intellect is -1.
Can I roll?
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
rolled a 3.
Oh,
All right,
I rolled a 19 and I have a +2, so that's 21.
excellent.
Nice.
So as you think about it, you start to grow a little suspicious and a little concerned, Duchess, because the only two things you could think of that could be used for is if they're making like a really, really, really unpalatable stew, or if they're planning on using it for the odd chemical like alchemy rituals that certain factions of the rat community engage in. You are familiar with a certain organization that exists among the rodents in the monarchies called the Cult of Labotor. The Cult of Labotor fancy themselves scientists as opposed to magicians, but they deal with what you consider to be strange and dangerous alchemies. And many of them are obsessed with their alchemy to the point that they are dangerous to others.
Okay, so how do we tackle figuring out? I don't know that following the tunnels our best idea.
Corinne says, I don't know how else to find them.
I mean, we could
Like-
stake out the opening.
I believe that confronting them directly would be the best path forward.
You want to wait here and try to ambush them?
That seems less dangerous than running down a tunnel that could run into some animal that carved out a hole.
Pickle says, yeah, but it'll be an adventure, and starts into the tunnel.
Pickles. I follow.
I guess I'm going.
Corinne calls down and says, are you sure?
Not really.
Good luck. As you're moving your way through the tunnels, the torchlight flickers on the irregular shape of the carved out stone around you and earth. I would like each of you to give me a cunning check using notice.
So I do have notice. I rolled a 10. So having the notice would make that a 12?
Having
No,
it,
it would 11.
it would add your so you would add your cunning and then your experience bonus if you have the notice.
Okay, my cunning is 0, my experience bonus is 1, so I rolled an 11.
Excellent.
I got
Yeah.
a 9.
And you got a 9. Beautiful. Um, you sort of hear some scratching noises up ahead, but you can't quite make out what they are until you see you get close enough that you can see in the flickering light a very large shape. This appears to be probably about head height equal with you. And you can see that whatever it is has a sort of like teardrop shaped head with the fat end at the back. Clearly a pair of large mandibles on the front of its mouth. And it appears to have some type of headgear on, made of strange plastic with wires sticking into it. You're really kind of seeing it just in vague silhouette unless you choose to get closer at this point. And it does sort of start chittering loudly and looking in your direction, but has not yet advanced.
Does this look like it might have been the monster harnessed to carve out the tunnels?
You think those mandibles might have been able to do it, yeah?
Okay. I think we should approach quietly.
Oh, okay.
I can do quiet, Pickle says. And then also like calls over his shoulder and says, "Do you have anything that you can do from a distance if it goes sideways on us, Duchess?"
Um, vicious mockery.
Perhaps you should stay back then and be ready to deploy your magical wisdoms.
Okay.
All right, so you and Pickles are going to try to sneak up on this thing, yes? All right, so this will require an agility test using um,
Reverse?
traverse is more about like getting like overcoming navigational challenges.
Okay, well, I rolled a 19.
Oh, well that'll work. Yeah, it'd be agility sneak.
Okay, I don't have that, but I just rolled really high.
You did. Let's see if Pickles can also roll. Pickles got a 19 too. Um,
It was
not
meant to be.
not too shabby.
Hi, Bugabug.
I will make a check to see if they can
Guest
notice
appearance.
you approaching. Shockingly, they don't. They barely miss noticing you approach. As you sort of sneak around closer. Now, are you? I guess important question here. Are you leaving the torch with Duchess, or are you going to try to carry that torch with you? Because that will obviously make it harder for you to sneak.
Yeah, if we're sneaking, then I think we're leaving the torch with Duchess.
All right. As you sneak up, it's darker, but you're also getting closer, and your eyes adjust fairly quickly to the low light. Any rolls that you would need to make that would rely on sight at this point would suffer a bane, but which is basically you roll 2 dice and take the lower of the two. Let me make sure that I'm using the correct terminology for that because I know that one may have changed between drafts. Because I know when you have a boon. Oh, it's a hindrance. I apologize. So yeah, anything that you have using vision would suffer a hindrance. Now you can rely on your sense of smell and overcome that. You just won't get any visual information. So as you're making your way up there, the silhouette starts to become clear. You can tell that this is an ant that has been increased in size. It is roughly the size of an adult cat. It appears to
Yes,
be
for this.
in good physical condition, other than the fact that it's got this weird plastic device embedded in its head. And it appears to be chained to the wall by its torso.
All right. Lucy's inclination is to try and well, so all right. Would I know roughly how intelligent this creature is, like cow or a
Um,
marmot?
I would say you could make a cunning with survive roll or an intellect with no nature.
Uh, that's an 8.
Yeah, you're not really sure. You've heard stories of giant ants, but they're usually out in the wilderness.
Okay. Um, my inclination is to essentially treat this creature like cattle. Uh, and assume that it has like basic animal instincts, but not higher intelligence. And try and lead it out. It's not the ant's fault that it's been used as a beast of burden, and also if we take it away, that harms whatever the rats are trying to do.
Okay, sure. Your first obstacle in trying to get rid of the ant or to remove the ant, I guess should say.
And I will whisper my plan to Pickles.
Pickles nods and says, "We're gonna have to free it. 'Cause you realize you're not gonna lead it to much of anywhere if it's not unchained."
Um, all right, so is there a way to essentially free it while still keeping part of the chain on it as like a lead?
Yeah, so effectively, like get it off of the wall, but um, not, but turn into like a leash, basically.
Yeah, basically, because I still don't want it running bugfuck in the tavern. That would be bad.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah, that is absolutely fair. Um, yeah, you can try. Do you have, by chance, in your rucksack, do you have Ratter's tools?
Ratter's tools. I do not. I
Okay.
do have a war pick that I might be able to use to like get in one of the chain links and just then lever it.
Sure. That would be fine. I will let you do that. I'm going to uh, have you make that roll at a hindrance
Okay.
because that's not exactly how that tool is designed to be used.
Fair. And so that's like disadvantage.
It's functionally similar, yeah. So you'll roll the
Okay.
2d20 and you'll take the lower of the two results, but this is going to go off of your might.
Minus +2.
And I would say skill wise, you could probably leverage. Um,
The only thing I have that would be remotely applicable would be handle animal, which I think might apply to the next
might
roll.
apply to the next roll. Yeah, I was saying maybe you could
Okay.
leverage like an athletics or something, but
Mm.
I don't know if that's even checking to see if that's among them.
I have intimidate. I can intimidate the chain.
You could do that. That is an option. Yeah, no. Yes, just a straight up might check with a hindrance, please.
Okay, well that's a 4, and
All
that's a
right.
12, so that would be a 6 and a 14.
All right. You start leaning on it, and the chain size is awkward. So getting the pick in place is just very challenging. Challenging enough that you make some noise and draw the ant's attention toward you. The ant kind of spins backward and looks at you. So,
I attempt to soothe it. There, it's okay.
all right. Why don't you go ahead and give me that handle animal roll? Uh, I'm also going to have you make this roll an hindrance because for two reasons. One, because you've surprised the creature, and two, because you don't have the device that uh, you don't have any way of interacting with the device in its head.
Oh, whoops. All right. What attribute would I add to that?
Oh, so handle animal. That would fall under presence.
Oh, my presence is pretty good too. All right. So that is a 14, so that's a 17. Oh, and a natural 20.
Excellent. Unfortunately, because you had the hindrance, the triumph, as natural 20s are called,
Ah,
will not apply. But your result without it is still sufficient that the ant sort of like looks over at you and starts, kind of sniffing you as if you're maybe a friend. Now, seeing all this happening in the distance, is there anything that Duchess would like to do?
No.
All right, just hanging back and hoping for the best.
Yeah, I'm just like keeping my eye out for anyone coming up.
All right. Pickles is going to lean in and say, "Let me see if I can get this lock," and pulls out a set of foot pads tools, which are functionally the same as Ratter's tools. And he's going to try to sort of loosen the connection between the chain and the wall. So this is an agility roll with his experience bonus. That is a 17. After a few seconds of him fiddling with that edge, you hear a click, and the chain is now free. The ant uh, starts to lunge forward a bit. Are you trying to restrain it with the chain like it's a leash?
yeah, basically, like not sort of like no, heal.
Right, not hard, but
Yeah.
so what I'm gonna have you do actually is I'm gonna have you make another handle animal check, and the ant is going to make a might check, and we'll see how
Oh, okay.
that goes.
Oh, that's a 16, and so if it's still present, then that would be a 19.
Yep, it still is. They got a 19 as well. The tie will go to you because you are the hero. So you have it stops kind of at the edge of the chain, possibly even snapping its mandibles a little bit in Duchess's direction because she's in his space now, but the ant has stopped.
Okay. Um, so the next part of my plan, and this might create problems, is depending on how big it is, lead it back into the basement. Um, and I suppose keep it there until we figure out what to do with it next.
Okay.
Unless Duchess or Pickles have a better idea. Because then I'm like, oh, I caught the car. I don't know what to do.
Uh, Pickle says we could take it up by the door and chain it there.
Yeah, I think keeping it inside sounds dangerous.
If
Okay,
he
stop.
hears a bunch of noise up in the uh, tavern, it might freak out.
I'll be right back.
Yes. Okay. We will do as Pickles and Duchess suggest and find the safe place for the ant so people are protected from it and it is protected from other people.
Um, you get up to the edge and you're able to attach it easily enough. Um, do you want to do anything else to prevent the ant from, should it escape, getting into the basement? Like bring the wine rack over in the front of it or anything like that?
Yeah, whatever strikes me as being like a reasonable precaution to take, we're gonna do that.
All right. Excellent. And while they are walking the ant back to the door, is Duchess doing any further investigation or moving deeper into the tunnels, or are you just waiting?
I'm just waiting so that if she needs me, then I'll help.
All right. You get down. Everybody gets reunited after you've taken the ants to the area near the tunnel, attached to the wall long enough that the chain won't quite get to the actual doorway, but then pulled the wine rack in the way just in case. So hopefully, if it breaks loose, at the very least, everybody inside the tavern will have a warning because there will be a loud crash as it goes through the wine rack.
That's something.
With that in place, you turn back and begin heading deeper into the tunnel.
All right, yeah, let's go.
Excellent.
Okay.
We solved the ant puzzle.
You did solve the ant puzzle. As you're moving along, probably another 30, 40 feet in, you can see the tunnel sort of like bubbles outward and then narrows back on the other side of probably about like a 20-foot bubble and then narrows back to the 10-footish length on the other side. And I would like all of you to make a uh, difficulty 12 cunning check using notice as you begin walking through.
Another nat 20.
Excellent. So you've gotten a triumph. Um, and what did
15.
excellent. So you've also passed the check. So as you're walking along, you notice that there's kind of a seam in the wall, kind of right next to where things even back out into the smaller tunnel. And in fact, with your triumph, Lucy is also able to see that about 5 feet into that tunnel is a clear pit trap.
Okay. Well, we're not falling into that pit.
Right.
Also make a note that the existence of traps and the tame ain't are whatever we're dealing with has intelligence and foresight.
Yes.
A very fair assessment. But yeah, in lieu of walking into the pit trap, you do see that seam right next to the hall that appears to be a secret door.
Well, I like secret doors.
Yeah, let's try to get that fucker open.
All right. You walk up and give it a good push, Duchess, and the door does swing open on easy hinges. It seems like maybe it's been built or oiled and maintained in such a way that smaller creatures, such as perhaps rats and mice, are able to exert enough strength to open it. This opens into a room. This room is more of like a square-ish shape. This appears to have also been dug out by the ant. There's a wooden door on the far side of the room, but in the middle of the room, you see a belt lying on the floor. That belt seems to almost be crackling with energy that you can feel. Like it almost makes your hair stand up a little bit as you approach it. You're fairly certain that this is what is known as a masterwork. These are uh, items imbued with magic.
Okay. Um, I feel like magic is more Duchess's purview, so I'll let her take lead on this.
Excellent.
Yeah, can I investigate further or something?
Yeah, sure. So what I would like you to do then is give me a cunning check using notice, please.
Oh, I didn't notice, but okay. 15.
Excellent. So as you're looking down, and at first, you kind of your first pass looking over, you're like, this is probably a belt of might. And what the belt of might does is, if you attune it and activate it, it enhances your ability to fight paw to paw, giving you a bonus to melee attacks while worn. But you're able to curb your excitement at finding such an interesting device down here, such an interesting relic. When you notice that there seems to be a very thin string, almost like a fishing line, tied to one end of the belt that seems to run under the dirt, up the side of the wall, and like over the door jamb to that door that is in front of you.
I'm going to point that out, obviously.
All right. Pickles lunges forward and says, "Don't worry, I got it," and is going to try to disarm the trap with his ratter's tools.
Good luck, Pickles.
Um, he has failed his roll.
Oh no.
We will get into now. We will introduce the next mechanic that is unique to the realms of Pugmire. You have what is called fortune. Fortune is something that you can all draw upon. Typically, in realms of Pugmire, when folks are playing dogs, they have just a fortune bowl where they are able to collect that fortune and use it as a group resource. As you overcome obstacles, work with one another, come up with interesting solutions to problems, or fail in entertaining ways, you gain more fortune in the bowl. But at the start, the bowl has 2 points in it. Those points can be spent to re-roll failed dice, to cast a single spell your character knows, to interrupt the initiative and take your action immediately, to take any one kind of action at any time, use a trick if that trick effect requires an expenditure of fortune. Now with cats, you also have the opportunity if your cat generates fortune. So perhaps if you roll a botch, you may choose to hold that fortune in your own fortune pile rather than giving it to the group bowl. So now that Pickles has failed this roll to try to disarm the trap, would you like him to spend a fortune to re-roll that die?
I'm in favor of him doing so, yes.
Same.
Excellent. And also keep in mind that with fortune, not only does it allow you to re-roll like a skill check or an ability test or anything like that, a tribute test, I should say. It also lets you roll like damage dice over. Anytime any die you roll, you can re-roll with fortune. So unfortunately, he's like, I think I got it. I think I got it. And then he snaps down the little shears that he has, and you all hear a faint jingling coming from behind the door. He says, oh, shoot.
I ready my weapons.
All right. You can all hear like scuttling and activity behind the door, but nobody seems to be approaching or opening the door. The belt is, however, now no longer tied to the to the alarm, so you can seize it if you so choose.
Uh, do you mind if I?
Go for it.
All right, I'll put on the belt.
Excellent. So this one requires attunement to use normally. You also have the option of attempting to absorb it. However, doing either one of those things does take an hour, which, judging by the scuffling and scuttling in the next room, is an hour you do not have.
Okay.
So for now, you may wear it, but it will not grant you any immediate benefits.
Okay.
As you gather the belts and put it on, you hear a distinct lack of noise coming from the next room, as if they've all stopped moving and have fallen silent.
It disappeared.
Ghost
It's the cat
Sarah.
what did it.
Oh, hello, cat.
Yes,
Oh.
You
they're
heard us talking about cat stuff.
they're employing stealth just like you.
Mhm.
So what would you like to do?
All right, I'm going to ready my longsword. Prepare to fight.
All right.
Yeah. What if I like run up and then fling the door open and then try to get off to the side so I'm not like right in the way?
Yeah, that's fine.
Worth a shot.
All right.
What's
So
going on?
are you trying to like offer a distraction by doing so?
Yeah, like fling the door open to where they are.
Right, but like move yourself out of the way type thing.
Yeah, so that I'm not like, gonna get stabbed a bunch.
All right. Yeah, you fling the door open and lean against like around the corner of it. At that point, I would like everyone to roll initiative. And the way you do is you just make an agility check. It's unmodified unless you have a trick specifically that says it modifies it. Um, the enemies, unfortunately, will have a boon on this check because they were able to prepare. They heard you coming.
I got a 17.
I got an 18.
All right. The enemy's got a 19, and unfortunately, Pickles got an 11. Or no, 15. Sorry. So the enemies will have the first action this round. And the way that this generally works is their side will go, then they will choose who goes next, and from there on out, so the highest initiative gets to choose, and it gets passed along until everybody has had a chance to act. And then it goes back to the first actor. Make sense?
Mhm.
So in the room, with the door flung open, you can now see there's several sources of light around this room. Various strange contraptions that have lightning trapped within them, dancing around, seemingly at the command of the cult of Labator. You can clearly see jars and bottles that are supplies that were taken from the inn. Some of them still have fluid in them. Many of them are either partially or completely emptied.
What is partially emptied?
The jars and bottles and
Okay.
containers that were taken from the inn. One of the rats, wearing a white leather lab coat and a strange apparatus over his eyes that has a dozen lenses on it, all of different sizes, reaches onto his belt and pulls forth a vial and says, "You will bow to the might of Labotor," and flings the vial at you.
Oh no.
So since the nearest person is going to be Duchess is going to be the target. However, I will give the cultist a hindrance because you are hiding around the corner, so you have cover. Okay, so it's 13 on the first roll. So 13 is the total. What is your defense score?
11.
All right, the flask bursts. And when it does,
Really?
you will suffer 11 fire damage. How many? How many?
Just hit me in the mouth with my hair with their tail.
Oh no! How many stamina points do you have?
6.
All right, so you drop down unconscious to the floor,
Oh no.
badly in need of assistance. The assistants, the lab assistants, lunge forward. One of them tries to grab Duchess to drag back into the room, while the other two lunge at the two remaining standing cats, attempting to engage them in hand-to-hand combat. So the first one is going to try to stab Lucy with a rapier, lunging forward, blade swinging through the air. You see like a weird ichor sort of dripping off of the blade. And they got a 20 to hit. What is your defense?
Oh, 17.
Excellent. Okay. So that will hit. And you will suffer 11 stabbing. Oh my god.
I have 11 stamina points.
All right, you drop down to the ground. The next one is going to try the same thing toward your friend Pickles.
Save us, Pickles.
Pickles is also stabbed.
It's gonna be a real short night.
However, Pickles only takes 5. So with that,
Real easy to pick who gets to go next too.
yes, very much so. Pickles is going to run up and try to make a healing check to stabilize probably Lucy, because Lucy is closer and not currently being drug away by one of the rats of Labotor. Give me one moment. So this is a cunning check at difficulty 10. Unfortunately, that doesn't work so great for our Pickles. Pickles is not a medical genius by any stretch. So what that boils down to is, now that you are at 0,
Mhm.
I would like, first let's have Lucy give me a vitality test at difficulty 15.
15.
You got a 15?
Yes.
Excellent. You become stable and are no longer dying. Now,
Yay.
if you would like to wake up, you can spend 1 available stamina die, rolling it to recover that many stamina points and regain consciousness.
I will do so. So it says on my sheet that my stamina die is 1d10.
Yep. So you roll a d10.
All right, that would be a 6.
All right, so you regain 6 hit points, regain consciousness. You are currently prone.
Hooray.
Now
I need
let's.
to add contact information for Kat before I can do that.
Oh my goodness! Stop being helpful, Siri. Next up, the same check, please, for Duchess. Give me a
That's gonna be an 8.
vitality test. Excellent. You have made your first failure. If you fail 3 times, you perish, and only magic can bring you back.
Now.
If you have any stamina dice available, you can spend 1 to prevent a failure. That does not, however, give you a success. So you may
Okay. I'll sit on that.
note that you have 1 failed save against, or 1 failed test against dying, and that brings us back to our rat enemies. The chemist shouts, "Get that one and put her in the lab!" And 2 of the assistants dash over, grab Duchess, and start dragging her back into the room, deeper into the room. What would... The third one, I guess, is going to try to attack Pickles. If he's up. That absolutely will hit. And that is another 6. And that drops Pickles to 0. Pickles hits the ground as you regain consciousness. Lucy, what would you like to do?
Um, all right. So how many antagonists, how many bad guys are here?
Well, there are 4 in total. The 3 lab assistants are like smaller rats. They seem to be less powerful. They're not carrying any bizarre equipment other than their rapiers, which have various sort of wires running along them and other sort of technological uh, items, near as you can tell, sort of strapped on willy nilly onto these things. 2 of
Okay.
whom are carrying Duchess. The third one is now standing over the now unconscious Pickles.
All
The
right.
the actual chemist seems to be distracted right now, yelling at his lab assistants.
All right. So Duchess is down, Pickles is down. I'm basically at half power or half hit points. Um, I'm gonna try and talk them down.
Okay.
Uh, I'm going to make use of the fact that I have Intimidate on my sheet. And I'm going to say, it's better for you to stand down now than when the city guard gets here.
Excellent. Go ahead and give me that intimidate check, please. So that's presence intimidate, or is that might intimidate?
Oh, I rolled a 6. So even with all my bonuses, uh that's a 9.
A 9.
You could use one of the things. Don't we have one left?
Yeah, there is a fortune left. There's
Oh.
actually, and because you failed your death test, there's 2 fortune in the bowl. Unless you
Right.
want to keep your fortune for yourself.
No, it's fine.
I'm gonna use it. Reroll. Okay, that's slightly better. 14.
Excellent. They will try to resist that, and we'll see how well that goes for them. And this is a general, like you're shouting at the room, basically, right?
Yeah.
All right, so you got a 14, so they are going to make presence tests at that difficulty to avoid being scared. Because they have intimidate, they'll be able to add their experience bonus to that presence test,
Okay.
which still doesn't give them a great amount. However, the first assistant got a 17. Second one got a 17. Third one got a 2.
Okay.
So the 2 that are carrying Duchess don't seem bothered, but the one who is like standing over Pickles with their sword out just kind of looks over and goes "Ah!" and drops the sword and takes off running.
Okay.
The actual scientist only got a 7, so he's going to need to make a morale check. And he got a botch on that morale check. He screams, the city guard, they've come for us. And he throws another vial on the ground, just sort of filling the area with where he's standing with like a black smoke. It doesn't even quite obscure his body as he and the one assistant start running into the next room in an attempt to escape.
Um, at this point, circumstances being what they are, uh, I'm fine to let him escape as long as I can still try and save Pickles and Duchess.
Yeah, Pickles is closer to you. Duchess is still, however, in the grasp of the other two who were not intimidated by you. So we'll now give Duchess the opportunity to make another death test, please.
It was agility, right?
Vitality.
Vitality. Yeah, no.
No luck?
No luck.
It was not a botch, was it?
No, it was a 9.
All right, so you now have 2 failed death tests. The 2 who have a hold of her are going to keep dragging her, but they're only able to move 15 feet per turn because they're dragging a body. So that will bring us back around to Lucy. What would you like to do?
I will lunge at the rats carrying Duchess, and just yell, "Drop her or die!" and slash at one of them with my sword.
Excellent. So go ahead and give me. It would be agility to hit with the sword, I believe, right? Or what kind of sword do you have? It's might for your sword. You have a long
It
sword, right?
Yeah, long sword.
Yep. So you roll might, add your experience bonus.
Okay, that's another +3, so that's a 19.
Excellent. That is clearly enough to stab this poor fellow.
And I do 1 point of damage. I
Excellent.
don't know if do I get to add anything to my roll? It's 1d8 and I rolled a 1.
Yeah, and then you add your the attribute that you use when you do the stabbing.
Alright, so that would be 3 damage.
Excellent. They squeal in pain. They drop the end that they are carrying. And then fall over dead.
Oh, okay, they're very weak.
Extremely so. The other one is going to need to make a morale test. Oh, the other one fails their morale test because they're a minion. So minions automatically fail morale checks. Morale tests are something that has been introduced in Onyx 20 and the Realms of Pugmire. Under certain circumstances, your enemies will surrender or run off because they get frightened, they get scared. Enemies who have what's called the minion tag, who are kind of the lowest rung of threats, do not get to make morale saves. They automatically lose them. And then legendary enemies automatically win morale saves, so they just don't make them.
That's cool.
Yeah. So this one drops. Seeing their friend stabbed, they go, "No, Horatio!" And then drop Duchess's upper half and turn off, running away.
All right. I'm going to try and render aid to Duchess if I can.
All right. Go ahead and make that heal roll using cunning, I believe.
Okay, I do not have healing, and my cunning is 0, so that's a 15 though.
That is enough to stabilize. You may now spend a stamina die and roll it to recover that many stamina points if you so choose.
3.
All right, you regain 3 stamina points and you are able to get back on your feet. Pickles has stabilized as well and regained 6 stamina points.
All right. Lucy will suggest a tactical retreat back into the basement proper to regroup and decide what to do next. Well, actually, I'm gonna tell Duchess and Pickles to do that, but I also wanna survey this room and sort of figure out what they might have been trying to do down here.
Sure. Do you have no arcana?
I do.
All right. Then if you want to take a look around, you may absolutely make a no arcana check.
Is that presence or
Uh,
intellect?
that's intellect.
16.
So it becomes very clear to you that they were doing experiments using these components to try to create what looks like toxins, poisons, and chemicals that would either harm or possibly even render susceptible to suggestion other creatures who inhale them.
Well, that's what we got here.
And then with that, do you all want to fall back and lick your wounds and regroup?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so, yes.
Okay. Um, you may each make a cunning check at difficulty 15. If you succeed, you are able to heal 1d4 stamina point.
I did
I
not make
did.
it.
Right, so then you get another 1d4.
That's what the one die I didn't get out was. Ooh, 1. That's all right. I only have 3 that I could heal at this point because I only have 6.
So you fall back to the entryway. You take the time to lick your wounds, bandage yourselves, heal as much as you can. What would you like to do while you're there? Do you plan to update? Are you going to try to go into the inn and update Corinne, or are you just going to go back there to regroup, catch your breath, and then go deeper in?
Well, Lucy would definitely want to report this to the
Yeah.
authorities.
Okay.
Yeah, there's like a lot going on down there.
All right. So you go back in, I assume
And
leaving.
we all died. So
We all went down.
So you go back in, you find the nearest constable. There is one in the dining hall. It's a rather large cat of Von Korat, and they look over and say, "What seems to be the problem?"
I looked at Duchess because she's the one who figured out what they're trying to do.
well, there's a hole in the basement and we were just like gonna take care of some rats, but like there's some stuff going on that shouldn't be going on down there. I'll try to explain it as best I can, but Sarah can't explain it right now.
Sure, no, that's fair. They say rats. You say, well, then it's a good thing you came to us. How did you learn of the rats?
We just wandered down to help with some supplies going missing.
I see. I see. Well, I'll fetch some guards and we'll go down. Can you show us the way?
Absolutely.
They round up 4 guards. It doesn't take very long for them to do so. You make your way back down. When they see the giant ant, they all kind of like draw their weapons.
It's friendly, or at least it's not hostile. I
Yeah.
think they were using it.
Its
controlling it.
existence is a concern, but it is not unsafe as of right now.
I see. Lead the way.
I'll head it up. Why not? Fuck it. I opened the door and caused the chaos.
Yes, and you know where the traps are to avoid, so you're able to easily get them through. And into that laboratory room, they start looking around, doing some cursory investigation, taking notes, so on and so forth. But you all do see another open door past the room that you were in that appears to be the direction that the cultists fled once you routed them.
I'm happy to go that way.
Yeah.
All right, the two of you poke your head in there and start looking around. You notice there are 4 beds that seem to be little more than piles of like hay with rags kind of ripped up over the top of them. You also notice a makeshift desk that looks to be made out of like scrap wood that has been sort of loosely stuck together. And atop that makeshift desk, you see a stack of parchment with handwritten notes.
I will go through the notes.
All right, go ahead and give me an intellect check. This would no history would probably help you here.
Oh, I'm gonna hand them to Duchess because I rolled a 6.
All right. You look
I
at
do
them.
have that.
You look at them and you're like, I don't know.
Is it an intellect?
Intellect, no history. Yep.
Oh yeah. Total of 20.
Excellent. So as you're looking these notes over, you discover that they're written in some sort of strange code. The actual contents of them themselves, you would probably need an expert in the cult of Labotor to be able to translate them, but you are able to tell that there are several prominent regulars of the chip saucer listed or mentioned within these notes. It's pretty clear to you that in addition to stealing supplies, these cultists were stealing information, though you don't know to what end.
All right, I'm gonna tell Lucy about that.
Okay.
You also do see one more doorway leading out of this room beyond the way you came in. This door looks almost like it was very recently added and with somewhat shoddy workmanship. There's no lock on it.
My cat is bapping me.
I'm gonna go listen at the door and see if I hear anything.
Sure, give me a cunning using notice, please.
Oh, that's bad. 4.
Nope, you don't hear anything. I will give you this without a test, though. You do smell foul odor coming from the other side. A very sewery odor coming from the other side.
Well, that's disgusting. I'm gonna look back at everybody for a second. If nobody does anything, I'm just gonna open the door.
All right.
Yeah, go for it.
You pop the door open, and it almost comes off of its makeshift hinges when you open it. And you realize that that's because the door frame was not stoneworked in; it was chewed out by the ant. And it opens directly into the sewer.
Oh,
The downside of this is that while you are in the sewer, you all gain the anosmic condition, which means that you are unable to use your sense of smell for notice checks. But if you'd like, you may make attempts to try to determine which way the cultists went.
I would, yes.
All right. So that would probably be survival would be your best bet for tracking.
I have survived.
Excellent.
Is that intellect? cunning?
That is cunning.
It's gonna be a 1.
You got a botch?
Yeah.
All right. So that gives you 2 pieces of fortune you can add to the bowl.
All right. I'll roll. My cunning is 0.
All right.
9.
All right. You're not sure. You're not sure which way they went, Lucy. But Duchess, you're pretty sure that they, in order to hide their direction, they must have dove into the sewage itself, and swam away.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
Mm-mm.
It's gonna be a no from me, dog.
The city guard says you've done quite well and been very helpful and faithful citizens. We appreciate your heroic efforts here. We'll take over from here. We will begin seeing if we can track these brigands down.
Okay.
I'd make a offer to help, but it's more out of politeness because I'm still at half.
Like a
Hit
half-hearted
points.
offer to help.
Yeah, we're not we're not exactly in tip top right now.
That's all right. They say, "Don't worry, we've got it. You've done more than enough." And they began making their way through the sewers, trying to track down the rats. The rest of you are able to return to the inn if you so choose, or go grab the ant and do something with the ant.
I don't think we should leave the ant in the basement of the inn. Just a
Yeah.
quick question. Are there ants this big here, or is something done to this ant?
So there are ants that big. They're generally found in the wilderness.
Okay, so
So-
this is not an unheard of creature.
Right, yeah.
It's the controlling and stuff that's the weird part.
Right. Normally, normally ants are extremely territorial and hostile. Giant ants are. So your best guess would probably be that they found a straggler drone and wrestled it into submission, and then whatever they stuck in its head probably helped them calm it down enough to get it down here.
Gotcha.
So like, if
I
you
was
wanted
just
to,
curious because there were blanks in my brain.
yeah, no, that's fair. So if you wanted to like release it into the wild, your best bet would be to either take it out through the sewers to where the sewer empties out into the river, or take it out through the tavern and out into the city streets and walk it out that way, which is liable to draw some attention.
I'd rather have attention than walk through a sewer, though.
I mean, if it's a wild animal, my inclination is to take it through the sewers and then take the thing off its head and just let it go.
Okay.
I'll
I'm
be
not
skipping the sewer trick.
okay. I'll take Pickles.
All right, you and Pickles guide the ant down to the sewer, and by the time you release it, you have the distinct impression that this is like when you're pulling the thing off of it too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, when you do, it kind of nuzzles you almost, like you get a feeling like you've been accepted, at least by this drone. That may come in handy in the future if you run into other ants from its colony. They might recognize you and not try to eat you right away. You have made a friend with one of the ants.
Friend ant.
Right?
Now, while they're doing that, is Duchess just going to go chill in the tavern and eat up some of the free food that you're offered?
Yep.
You're the talk of the tavern. You all are the toast of the town. Everybody's very impressed that you rooted out this terrible conspiracy, and they are very anxious to find out what exactly these notes have said. Fortunately, for all parties concerned, one of the traveling dignitaries who is staying at the inn this evening does have some fluency in the notations of the cult of Labotor. And they are able to study the documents, though they do not volunteer their contents to you. You do see them sort of engaging in some whispers and some um, you know, conspiratorial chatter with some of the sort of ranked nobles in the area.
Well done.
You are all given a month of free food at the inn, a
pretty
handful
boss.
of coins, a pawful of coins. So you put a few coins on your sheet. And you get a reputation for being reliable and trustworthy heroes to be called upon should you be needed.
Oh, very exciting,
Oh,
Excellent.
us.
right?
Beautiful. And that draws our tale of rats in the tavern to a close. So, any questions, comments, complaints, or concerns about how tonight went?
No, but
it's
I'd
just a
like
lot
to
of
point
fun.
out that Lore acted up through most of the stream. Now, now Rachel's cat wants attention. Like they could sense that we were talking about cat stuff. They were like, absolutely not.
This is
Zug came up and
Lucifer.
meowed. Like, what a
Okay.
wild cat visit night.
It's adorable.
Bye.
That is adorable. I had a great deal of fun running it. Like I said, a lot of the systems, if you're familiar with, D20 based fantasy, getting into, the systems of Realms of Pugmire is not difficult. I don't think. Was there anything in the systems that you found challenging, or that you found like extra cool, that you like really enjoyed the way that it worked?
I like the fortune dice. That's pretty
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, Fortune is a very cool
Yeah.
system, and again, one of the places where it's a little different than you might see in other things is you can spend Fortune to re-roll any die, and you can spend Fortune for a couple of other uses beyond just I re-roll a d20. So like if you get a bad damage roll, you can drop a Fortune, stuff like that. Just for bookkeeping purposes and an opportunity to discuss it, with that belt of might, would you want to attune it or would you want to try to absorb it?
The difference. I mean, I know what attunement is, but what would absorption do?
So attuning just lets you use the magic item at its base level. When you absorb a masterwork, you're able to grow its power through the refinements that it offers.
Mhm.
In order to absorb it, you have to break it. This requires an hour to understand what it does and discover how to break it. And then you have to make a might or intellect roll using no arcana with either one at a difficulty of 12. If that succeeds, the masterwork itself loses all of its powers and the item is broken. However, the cat gains a lesser version of what the masterwork did or something related, a chance to use the refinements to gain the item's full abilities. Once you begin the process, you can't be interrupted, so you need some level of privacy.
I will simply attune it. That seems a lot easier.
Sure. So you can note that you have that attuned, and that will give you. I'll go ahead and throw those traits to you. And you can also, like, if you attune it, you can choose later to break and absorb it. So as you can see, I'm going to post it in the Zoom chat just so that you can see it, players. But the Belt of Might requires attunement and can be absorbed. Once it's activated, the belt enhances the wearer's ability to fight paw to paw, giving you a +2 bonus to melee attacks while you wear it. However, if you absorb it, it gives you a permanent +1 bonus to all your melee attacks. And then you can improve that with refinements to gain aptitude tricks, to choose a weapon you have and get a +1 bonus to the attacks with that weapon, which stacks with your previous +1 bonus. And then you can, if you refine it all the way out, you can actually gain a boon whenever making melee attacks. And refinements are achieved when you're spending your increases. Each time you advance, you get a choice to like refine a trick or refine a masterwork that you had gotten, or choose a new trick. So like if you sacked basically like 4 levels of advancement with it, you would have a boon every time you made a melee attack. So it can be pretty intense. Well, cool. I really appreciate you joining. Like I said, I wanted to just put together a real simple, fun adventure. My hope was to kind of illustrate for you and for the audience that the world is definitely different than your kind of standard fantasy fare, but does follow a lot of the tropes and ideas. The hiring adventures to clear out rats in a tavern is a classic fantasy story. So I thought putting a little Curious Cats and Mouse spin on that would be appropriate. And interesting note, if you do back Mao, I'll give you a mild spoiler here. If you do back Curious Cats and Mao, you'll notice there are 3 adventures included in the text. This adventure would actually serve as a very good prequel to the first adventure that's listed in the text. So, maybe I'll get dicey and ask Eddie if he wants to post it on the blog or something. But one last time, I would like to, before we run off, remind everybody that the Curious Cats of Mao is on BackerKit. Last time I looked, we were shy of 2,000 from our goal. Would really like to hit that first goal as soon as possible. So if you've not yet done so, please consider going over there and backing. Spread the word, share the link around on all your social medias and your Discords and all that fun stuff. And we will bid you all adieu for the evening. I would like to give everybody just one more chance to tell us who you are, what you do, who you're playing, your pronouns, their pronouns, anything you'd like to promote. This time I'll start with Sarah.
My name's Sarah Scharnweber, she, her. I played Duchess, she, her, and I don't have anything to promo right now. I'm everywhere as Wordsmith Sarah, and the cat is driving me crazy because he knows I'm talking about cat stuff.
Yep, you'll summon them when you
Mhm.
when you play Mao. It's true. And how about Rachel? Your pertinence, please.
You're muted.
Thank you. Yes, hello. I have been Lucy. My name is Rachel. I am she, her. I am also Stolen Fires pretty much everywhere on the internet, including Twitch, where you will be able to find me tomorrow on my channel, twitch.tv/stolenfires, playing The Between, which is a romantic game of Victorian monster hunting. I play as Selkie. And then on Fridays is our Dune game, which is also a lot of fun. And we've also got Wraith and Tales from the Loop coming down the pipeline in March.
Awesome. Sounds like an amazing schedule. Go over and please throw follows and subs at our friends at both of these channels. I've got the links up in the chat. Last thing I want to make sure that you are all aware of, we do have a sale going on over at Indie Press Revolution that is covering a lot of our Chronicles of Darkness books and supplies. So like there's some dice I think in the sale. There's definitely some like story guide screens and things along those lines, storyteller screens, I should say. And I will dig up that link for you momentarily. So it's basically up to 75% off on the accessories, screens, things along those lines, and then up to I think 35% off on the books. So I might have to break down because I don't currently own a copy of Deviant the Renegades, and it's on there. So I might have to break down and snatch one of those. But yeah, definitely check that sale out. Definitely support Curious Cats and Mao. Like I said, if please back it. If you've not yet backed it or you can't back it, that's fine. Spread the word, share the links, get the word around. Keep tuned into our schedule because I know Eddie is going to be coming on to run a two-part actual play here in a couple weeks. I think starting next week. And I will be back on this channel tomorrow for The World Below, Session 0. So if you want to check out dark survival horror using StoryPath Ultra, that will begin tomorrow at, I believe, 8 p.m. Eastern. So till then, take care of yourselves and each other, get your shots, wash your hands, wear your masks, all that good stuff, and we'll see you real soon. Hang out, we're going to raid Dork Tales.